Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers.
Right? No judging. No judging.
And the millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
OMG, baby, tell them.
All right, hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by backers. I'm Justin Fox. I'm joined here by Joanna Track. Joanna, thank you very much for joining me this morning. Or I keep saying morning. It's way late there, and it's actually afternoon here too. My mind is in morning. I've been up too long. But anyways, yes, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. It's really great to be here.
Awesome. So I'll do a quick intro. You sent over a quick intro, so sort of read through that. Founder of Good Eggs & Co., which is a boutique content marketing firm in Toronto. You've been a serial entrepreneur, which we'll talk a little bit about that, with a number of digital publishing ventures. The most recent was The Bullet, which was acquired by Arlene Dickinson in 2021. Arlene is of, I guess, Dragon's Den fame and other, among other things. So why don't, I guess, let's dive right in. Obviously, Thanks for joining me. Why don't you talk about that? What was it like?
Sure. I want to caveat and say, if anyone goes looking for me on Dragon's Den, I was not on Dragon's Den. I cannot advise you.
Right. But no, I didn't mean. I meant Arlene Dickinson was of the Dragon's Den. Yeah.
No, of course. But then some people assume that my deal happened because I was on Dragon's Den, and I was not. I met her through a different channel, and so I had been running The Bullet, which was a daily newsletter, a roundup of the news in a more digestible, conversational, albeit somewhat sarcastic way, and had been running it for a couple of years, and then had done a spin-off business called Newsworthy, which was essentially us white labeling what we did for ourselves for other brands. So we were managing their newsletter programs, a lot of editorial content, because that's what our team was specialists in. Things were going really well, and then COVID came. And obviously put us in a real pinch. Marketers, most of our money was from sponsorships and other marketing clients, and everybody really scaled back. So times got really challenging. And I wrote a weekly blog called Your Average Joe. And one day, out of the blue, I got an email from Arlene telling me she was a fan of The Bullet and my blog and keep up the good work. And obviously that was pretty surprising. I didn't know she was in the audience, and flattering. And then one thing led to another. And then as we were trying to figure out what we were going to do about the business, she made an offer about bringing us in, and ended up acquiring the business and combining it with her then agency, Venture Communications. And so it was obviously a really interesting experience and an opportunity to keep the team alive and the brand alive, and then be part of something bigger. And so was working in collaboration with her for about 2 years. But at the end of the day, I've 20 plus years as an entrepreneur, and my heart was set on doing my own thing. So when my obligations were up, I went back to doing my own thing. So now I've been about 1.5 years back doing now content marketing and working with small, medium businesses to help them grow through content.
Amazing. And just, you touched on something that I think is interesting. You never know who's listening or who's paying attention, right? And that's kind of like why you keep sort of pushing and putting the message out there, because you just never know who's kind of in the audience, as you said, and that sort of changes everything. So interesting. Well, congrats obviously on that success. We had sort of, I think, connected. I was sort of looking through some individuals that were tied to the forum, right? And some things around the forum, which you're the vice chair and on the board of directors. And I actually had Howard Rosen on last week, who's a mentor with the forum, right?
Yep.
So I guess, I don't know if you want to kind of dive into that, or I usually kind of ask, the backstory, like what kind of brought you to be there, maybe some of the other. So do you want to go more recent, and then we can obviously talk about what you're doing currently, or do you want to do a little bit of the backstory of who is Joanna Track, and what kind of brought you to be, a multi-time founder? Obviously, you've worked as an educator, you've done a number of different things. I think at York, I'm just actually briefly looking back. I recall you worked at York, or you taught at York.
Yeah, I taught in the undergrad program.
Right.
I took a digital marketing course.
Right. So what kind of, obviously MBA, like give us sort of your, why don't we do that? It's always good to
I'll
start at the
from
beginning and tell the
Yeah.
story, the hero's journey, right? How did you
People
get here?
who know me in present life are always really surprised about my earlier life.
Okay.
Because they're like, how did you get here from there?
Right.
So it's always a good story to tell for people who might be somewhere and not sure how they're gonna zig and zag. I've zigzagged a lot.
Yeah.
So I actually, if I go way back, I majored in math in undergrad. I was always very like mathematically inclined. So then the natural from there, I went into MBA into the finance stream.
Right.
And I was doing very well. And then between first and second year MBA, I got a job working on the bond trading floor at what was then Merrill Lynch.
Okay.
And it was very, interesting experience. I learned a lot about the industry. I also learned a lot about the culture. And I came out of that 4-month, I guess, internship program and said, this was all fun, but there's no way I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
Not what you wanted, not your passion at least, or yeah.
No, even though it came naturally to me, and they welcomed me to come back. Like when I graduated, I said, thanks, but no thanks. I went back to second year MBA. I dropped all my finance courses.
Okay.
And I didn't actually go right into marketing. I took like a couple marketing, a couple this, couple that. And then I just knew like marketing just was what was exciting to me.
Right.
Then when I got out of university or MBA, I found myself an entry-level job as a marketing coordinator in a small fashion business.
Okay.
So I started to learn, some of the practical side of marketing. But from there, bringing back in my math and analytical skills, I got an opportunity at Air Miles, the loyalty group.
Yeah.
And
Loyalty One.
Yeah, I was hired as a data analyst, and really helped cement my understanding of marketing analytics. And it was early days of internet and digital marketing. And then from there, got an incredible opportunity to move to Ogilvy One. So in the direct marketing side of Ogilvy Mather. And I always say that Ogilvy is where I kind of got my PhD in marketing.
Right. You cut your chops, as they say, or cut your teeth or whatever.
Really, I mean, so when I worked at Ogilvy, I had incredible opportunities. I was working on all like major clients, American Express, SAP, Cisco, Cogeco, I mean, like you name it. And I was able to go to New York for just over a year, transferred. And in that opportunity, I was introduced to a company that in the early 2000s was hugely popular amongst women, called Daily Candy. And Daily Candy was a daily newsletter that was rounding up what was new, hot, happening in, about, I think at the time, over a dozen cities across the US. And this is, you have to remember, in 2003-4, emails were pretty much limited to pretty boring B2B, like you're out of printer paper, your bill is due, like it wasn't editorial slant. And so what they were doing was quite innovative at that time. And when I transferred back to Toronto is when I really got the entrepreneurial bug. And I said, you know what, I can do this.
Right.
And I came up with the idea for Sweet Spot, which was a daily newsletter featuring all the latest happenings at the time in Toronto. Okay. And, fast forward, but as you know, as an entrepreneur, nothing fast forwards.
No, yeah.
It's an overnight success.
Hurry up and wait kind of thing, right? Yeah, the 10-year overnight
series
success.
Of a couple years.
Yeah.
I grew that business to a few cities across Canada and was ultimately approached by Rogers and did a deal with Rogers, where at that time they bought a minority stake in the business, but over the course of 6 years acquired the entire company. Okay. So that really cemented my reputation, but also my passion for content, editorial, digital marketing, and sort of everything combined. So then that led me into a new direction, which was with a bunch of partners. We launched an e-commerce company in around 2011. But it was the idea of marrying content and commerce. Again, it was a very new concept at the time. Right. So it was a full scale e-commerce, warehousing, inventory, shipping, fulfillment, everything couched with a weekly digital magazine showing all the looks, inspiration, style. So a huge undertaking, sad reality at the time, and even sadder still today, women entrepreneurs do not raise
underrepresented. Yeah, I literally was at an event this morning, and that was the topic du jour. And people of color, so the women and people of color, like less than 1% of companies get VC funding, but less than 1.5% that get it are female, and less than 5% are people of color. So it's like this, underserviced market for sure. Even in 2024, which is crazy.
Yeah, no. So that those are numbers you're stating now. So
which that was even less.
Even worse.
Yeah.
So despite our best efforts, and I ended up raising a very significant amount of capital from individual investors, because no institution, no VC would, like, I had people say to me, women aren't going to buy clothes online.
Right.
Oh. Yeah. And so
I wonder where those people are that said those things.
Exactly.
Like, no one's going to put their credit card online, or like women don't like, where are those people 20 years later, 10 years later? Like, I really would love to have them, their sound bites sort of thrown back in their face a little bit. Right. But,
So anyway, wound out of that. And then at the time I took a step back. I've been doing startups for over 10 years and needed to take a step back. I just had my son. And so I started up my consultancy, which was Good Eggs & Co. then. So I call that 1.0.
Okay.
And at the time it was really supporting small, medium businesses for the most part. I had some larger company clients, but helping them get into the e-commerce game, because it was still very new age.
Right.
In Canada, especially. So I was helping them launch their sites, do the marketing, email marketing, social media was still in its infancy, but doing a lot of that. And then that brings us up to the Bullet, which I just told you about, which was in 2016, where after about 4 years of working with other brands, I got the itch again to create my own, and came up with the idea for the Bullet, which was again based on a trend I was seeing in the US, where people were getting into this news aggregation, rounding up, being an aggregator, but putting their own slant and voice to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used a few of those models as an inspiration and launched the Bullet. And then fast forward, and here I am, and now come full circle back to helping other brands with their content marketing, all towards, driving conversion, optimizing business results.
Yeah, it's just interesting. So you obviously have a very analytical mind, right? Having, the mathematics, whatever, how do you want to call it, maths, if we were in the UK background. But then you mentioned, you're able to analyze a lot of things. And so identify trends and sort of this editorial email kind of medium that nobody was utilizing, and still probably don't utilize to its fullest potential, I think, at this point, right? There is a lot of spam that's out there, but I think good, consistent storytelling, editorial content, utilizing email as a strategy is key to any business, right? And it's interesting, you were at the forefront of sort of media, if you will, as being the key to driving growth for businesses, right? And being front, I usually use the analogy like location used to be, because you had to have that corner unit, and that was your brick and mortar, and that was the only way they could see your signage whenever they were driving around. Now it's like you need to be front and center, either with a website or content, kind of keeping that conversation going with them, so that you're kind of, that's your location, right? If you're SEO or email or any kind of, social media connection with people, right, is really how you stay top of mind. Is that kind of, am I oversimplifying?
I don't think so at all. I mean, I always say, if you're not online, you don't exist.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If you don't show up in search, you don't exist. And also the number of people I see, large businesses who have massive databases, who don't properly utilize what I consider to be one of their biggest, most valuable assets, data, information. People have said to them, especially in the email realm, I say this all the time. Someone has put up their hand, given you their email address, and said, yes, you can contact me.
Communicate,
They don't take advantage, they don't use it at all, or they take advantage of it and they abuse it.
In a negative way, exactly, right?
In a negative way, whereas, we have a saying at Good Eggs, well, we have two. One is serve before you sell. So give people something, and then the second is the 3 E's: educate, enlighten, or entertain, or all 3. So, so many brands just spew promotions and me, I won this and we did that, as opposed to giving consumers, clients, customers something that can enhance their life, and make their lives easier. And that's the content that really ends up selling.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, I think, like you said, I mean, I'm sure you know Gary Vaynerchuk, that sort of jab hook kind of concept where it's like, yeah, people don't just want to be constantly sold to and told what their problems are, but they want to learn and be entertained. And if you can create that medium around that, they'll, people buy from people and brands that they like and they feel comfortable with, right? And so you kind of build that relationship with them over a period of time, right? I mean, there's all the little like 7 touches or 7 to 10 touches and all these different things where they want to get comfortable with you. And as a brand, yeah, you want to be able to provide greater value than you're just like that take kind of mantra that a lot of big brands fall into that trap where, I think it's evolving, and you might be part of that evolution or the forefront of creating that evolution, right? That's awesome. So with sort of Good Eggs, the forum, where do you see the future of media? Like, where you're part of, obviously a pioneer, I would say, right? You've been at it for 20 years or so. Where do you see things evolving? Like, I mean, we work with founders and I try to tell them, like, you need to be on social media, you need to be putting out content. Like you said, if nobody knows where you are or that you exist, you don't exist, right? So, even if it's sometimes you feel like it's a little cringy or it's not, you're still trying to figure out your message or what that really is, you still should be having that back and forth kind of conversation with your audience. Oh, I think I froze there for a second. But so where do you see the future of kind of media, and where does where does Good Eggs go? And I'd love to talk about the forum as well, specifically, but where do you see the future of media?
Yeah, I mean, it's already been happening for a number of years, but I see it speeding up every day where all the lines are blurring, right?
Right.
Like the advent of social media, there's a new channel every whatever rapidly. The lines between branded content, editorial content, PR, they've all grayed, which I guess on the negative makes the receivers, the audience skeptical. Like,
right.
What is this? And are you just trying to sell me something? But if done well, it really provides opportunities for brands, organizations, people, leaders, thought leaders,
right.
to get, like, their word out to more people. I mean, social media, it was a gift and a curse, right? Because you went from having to spend tens of thousands of dollars to reach out, do press releases, get media opportunities, to now you just have to put it out there. And then if you build your audience, then, you don't need that. But, again, I mean, everything has its good and bad. So I see the lines continuing to blur, but where I see people or brands really rise is when they, like I said before, produce authentic, valuable content that, gives people a reason. Like you brought up Gary Vaynerchuk, and there's so many people like that, yes, at the end of the day, they're selling something, but you hang on their every word because it's inspirational. It helps you hold on to an insight. Justin Welsh is another one that I love. Like, these people just, they're giving you it in the dose and digestible way that makes it easy to consume. And so I think, the more garbage that gets out there, the more need there is for the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You need to get through sort of the noise and the clutter. Like you said, the brick and mortar days was also buying billboards and TV spots or, front page newspaper ads. But now everyone can kind of get their message out there. But then if your message resonates with people, then that's a better message than just, here's what we do, here's why you buy, but actually having that conversation, entertaining. One that I often think of, and it's sort of, I think top of mind, is the Duolingo. I don't know if you've seen sort of like their mascot is kind of blown up a little bit and people are talking about it. I mean, they don't sell anything ever in any of their content. It's just, he, she, whatever, it's doing crazy, funny things, right? And people follow along, and then it's top of mind if you need translation service or whatever it is, you know, that, and so that's kind of an interesting way. It's almost, I look to like the Michael Jordan was kind of maybe the early stage of that, where you create this avatar, if you will, of aspiration of what people want, and then you kind of, the brand just sells itself behind that individual, right? Or that persona. So what are some of the clients that you guys are working with, I guess, with Good Eggs and Co?
Well, you mentioned
Good
the
Eggs and Co.
forum.
I keep forgetting the and Co
That's
part.
okay.
But
That's
yeah,
okay. Don't forget about my codes.
there's exactly right. The
yeah.
at owls. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
So the forum, which you mentioned, is
Yeah.
one of our like long-standing clients that we do a ton of work with, from email marketing and SEO and long-form content and all sorts of things. And like you said, I'm the vice chair of the board, and I'm really passionate about supporting women entrepreneurs, having
Yeah.
been one, and another client in that same space, well, targeting women entrepreneurs, is the 51.
Okay. Yeah, I've come across them.
A venture capital firm based in Calgary that invests in women-led ventures. A really impressive roster of what they've done and what they continue to do. And then we have a number of clients that are across different lifestyle categories, like clean beauty and fashion. And we also tend to work with a number of service providers. So, you know, we have executive coach, executive recruiters. We also work with a book publisher. And
Okay.
so it's really helping raise their authority. What we found in the last 12 months is a lot of need, people coming to us, a lot of senior executives asking us to help them with their content, their thought leadership content.
Right.
So increasing their presence on LinkedIn, helping them write thought leadership articles. It's the kind of thing that they have the skill, but they don't have the time.
Right.
And so we've found a lot of success helping people with that kind of thing.
Is it kind of like ghostwriting for sort of that sort of concept? Yeah. And that's interesting. So you're starting to see people in, maybe they were the ones that saying people aren't going to use credit cards on the, I'm just kidding, I'm not throwing anyone on the bus, but those senior leaders that were maybe a little outdated are now realizing that, hey, they need to be front and center, sort of talk a little bit about, you know, what they're up to, and that's going to be very informative, obviously, for their consumers or their customers and clients and users within their organizations and within their staff, right? And within or internally, right? Do you actually, that's, now that I just said it, do you find that there's, you know, and I just sort of thought about this, but you've got obviously entrepreneurs, you've got people running startups, but communication just in general within your ecosystem, whether it's your within the companies or employees or externally, you know, your suppliers, your distributors, like, is that conversation also evolving, you think? It's just side note, I don't know if it's something you think about, but I just sort of thought about it briefly there.
You mean just helping them with their content?
Yeah, the content. Yeah, like, because it is all, you know, it's no longer you're just speaking to one audience. It's sort of multifaceted, multi-pronged, right? It's the audience is everybody, right?
Well, yes, and it's funny you say that, because a trend that we notice that we found pretty funny is that we've worked with a lot of marketers helping them with their content. So like senior level marketers
Right.
and marketing companies, actual ad agencies and things like that, marketing departments who come to us, like it's shoemakers' children, like they're busy serving their clients, so they don't do it. Or it's like, you know, when it comes to talking about yourself, you just get uncomfortable. So we're like, it's really funny that we've become like the marketer for the marketers.
Interesting. Okay. And it's, I mean, they're also probably too ingrained. They can't take that step back outside of themselves and sort of see what it is that they offer. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Marketer for the marketers, right? Brander for the branders. Yeah.
Exactly.
The content creators for the content creators. So tell us a little bit about the forum, because, you know, obviously it's for, you know, as I said, Howard Rosen was on the other day. He's a mentor. He has some tremendous experience. He talked obviously about sort of his experience there. You know, tell us a little bit about the kind of what inspired the forum, sort of what some of the, you know, work they do, and how maybe people can be involved and sort of what, you know, what they're up to at the forum.
Absolutely. So yeah, so the forum has been around for over 20 years. I want to say 23 years. was started by a woman in Vancouver who was very successful in the finance world, but saw this need to support women entrepreneurs. And so built this, it's a charity, not for profit, and their entire mandate is to support women entrepreneurs on their business journeys. And they do that primarily through education, mentorship, community. So, they have a ton of events and programming that supports in educating and inspiring women entrepreneurs, especially those who are even more marginalized. So people of color, gender diverse, anything like, and it, as we've talked about, is just, layer on challenge over challenge to try to succeed in the world that we live in, unfortunately. And then they also have a ton of resources. And so my involvement with them goes back over 10 years. I've been a speaker at some of their events. I've been a moderator. I am a mentor for a number of years now. I've worked with a number of companies across Canada to support them. And now, like I said, they're also my client, and I'm the vice chair of the board. So helping, drive the vision, the bigger vision. So yes, I've got all my tentacles in
all the different hats and angles.
But I strongly encourage anyone who's listening, whether that they need the support as an entrepreneur, whether they want to be a support as a mentor or a speaker, they should go to the forum's website, sign up for their newsletter, just saying. And
Definitely,
follow them on social, and they've got a very large, vast cross-country community that is there to just support each other.
Cool. So I really appreciate you joining me here, Joanna. Great sort of insight, obviously seeing someone that's had success, experience, and giving back to the community in various ways, and still obviously, supporting those in various endeavors. And you yourself are also an entrepreneur, which is, I think, entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs is almost, that's kind of how I look at backers, right? It's like backers, I'm an entrepreneur that supports entrepreneurs. So it's sort of like marketers supporting marketers. Not really, but exactly. You've been there, done that, got the t-shirt literally, or the souvenir, but
the scars,
sometimes the t-shirt, sometimes the scars, more often than not the scars, right? The t-shirt covers up the scars. Cool. So I guess, where can people find you? Are there any cool, fun things coming up that you're part of?
Well,
obviously social media,
children, we are revamping our website right now. So stay tuned, probably another 3 or 4 weeks. We'll be back.
What was it? Of whose children?
Our website, Good Eggs & Co.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something about children, but okay.
Oh, no. I said I'm like the shoemaker's children.
Okay.
I don't even have my own website right now.
Okay.
And then, you can find me on social. LinkedIn is that's where I met you.
Of course,
most frequently. Love to chat content, business, entrepreneurship, any of that. So
cool. We'll leave any one thought that, resonates with you right now, or things that you're kind of seeing, or any sort of, if you could give one piece of advice, it's up to you though. The floor is open. What would be your final?
Give another hour.
We can. I'm good. No.
I guess I'll just go down the content side, and it's like, be authentic, be yourself, but be something. I think it's a lost opportunity. Like, everyone has the stage, and everyone has a skill and an expertise and some thoughts that they can pay forward to someone else. So share and share.
Yeah. Don't be afraid, right? Like, just get your message out there.
People are so nervous, like, oh, but do I sound pompous, or do I sound this? And it's like, well, who cares? Like, because as important as it is, by the next day it's gone, or it might not even show up in someone's feed. So just try it.
Right. And you might get some feedback, and maybe you're able to change or adapt, or kind of, get that sort of, and get better at it. Right. That's one thing I realized, if I look back, some of the content I created with one of my first ventures in like 2013, 14, I'm like, what, who is that guy? What is he talking about? And get him off my, but you have to start somewhere. And some might look at me now and be like, hey, this is cringe, but it is what it is, to get it out there. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for joining me. And everyone, check out Joanna Track, the forum, Good Eggs & Co. yeah, it's website coming soon, right? There you go. Yeah.
Yes.
What's the saying you just keep saying? The shoemaker's children.
Like
I
they have no shoes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, this because he's making everyone. I get it. Yes, I like it.
Yeah.
That's a great quote. So everyone, this is One Take powered by Backers. I'm Joseph Fox. Joanna Track. Joanna, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey there, welcome to One Take, powered by Backers. Right?
No judging.
Yeah.
No judging.
The millennials are really changing that.
Is charm. No.
All success begins with desire.
I feel like I'm on fire right now.
OMG, baby.